Hello and welcome back to Tales from the Age of Men. And, well, here we are. Yes, this is the final fief that ISENGARD has under their control, and this is gonna be great. And here we go, let's do this. Alright, so we've already taken down the walls. I technically could have starved the garrison out a little bit, but I decided, you know what, let's not do that, because it's gonna take 6 more days, you know, they might have the opportunity to recover and actually get yet another fief in their control. I have seen them actually besieging some stuff, and I kind of wanted to, take this as fast as possible. I don't know whether they were actually able to take something and prevent themselves from being eliminated. If they have been lucky enough to do that, then we're gonna have some issues. That is gonna be a big problem, because that means that we're gonna have to do some cleaning up after this. Yes, we'll have to do some cleaning up. We'll have to go and attack them a little bit more vigorously down in the Rohan territories, of course, because we're kind of in Dunland at the moment. And, you know, no offense right now, but I would actually really like to fight a little bit of Dunland, you know? Your horse has turned into a... What? Wait a minute. My horse died, and I wasn't even with it, and apparently it became lame. Alright, okay. Apparently that is indeed a thing. Yeah, so kind of unfortunate. That happened. I would like to do a couple of more field battles as well, so I'm not entirely sure if we're going to be able to find... I mean, Dunland is definitely going to have some armies, so it would be cool to find some of theirs and actually do damage to them. Because I'd love to be able to use my glaive a little bit more, because you can see here, this glaive is actually really good. Even for infantry-based combat, it's really good. And the funny thing is, I mean, yeah, look at this. Look at that. We literally just murdered a couple of people just really easily here, just purely because the polearm is so good. It really is. I mean, look at the damage. Obviously, at the moment, we don't really have as much damage as the two-handed. Of course, you know, that's not really what we're going to have, but, I mean, look at how good it is in infantry combat, despite being a polearm. Now, I've obviously talked at length about how the Manavlion, which is a polearm in the base game, it's basically from the Empire, right? And this particular polearm is amazing. It is really good, because it just generally has multi-uses, right? It can be used in pretty much every single situation that you'd ever want to use it in. And this is kind of a similar thing, and that's why I really love this, because basically it's got a good amount of damage, good amount of reach, and its speed and handling is good enough so that you can actually use it in close quarters combat. You don't actually have to worry about, you know, hitting the walls all the time, or enemies basically being able to outspeed you. And frankly, I feel like that is great. That's great weapon design right there, because you obviously want to have something in your hands that is going to be able to work in every single scenario that you can throw at it. And in this situation, you guessed it, you know, this is great. You know, this is absolutely perfect, because look at what I'm able to do here. I can literally go in here and swing among all of my own troops, and we can still get kills. We can still get kills just purely by doing that. And that is the beauty of having a weapon like this. I actually feel like maybe my two-handed wouldn't even work here. Maybe it is it longer? I actually don't know whether my two-handed is longer than the polearm. It shouldn't be, right? It shouldn't be, but you never know. Maybe it is. Now, I am actually going to have a bit of a problem actually using it here, because obviously this is really close quarters. This is really close quarters. So, you know, it is a little bit... maybe a little bit tough to get a couple of hits going on here, but no, we're actually seemingly getting quite a significant amount of skill here as well. I mean, you've seen the skill points just go absolutely crazy. They have been turbo boosted, and we have now got 200 in polearms, which is actually kind of amazing. I'd like to do more damage here if I possibly can. This would be wonderful. Can you stop blocking, please? Thank you. I'm basically just trying to ask them to stop blocking right now, because if they stop blocking, then we're going to have a great time. I'm going to just jump off here, because it is going to take a little bit of time for my forces to just get in here and absolutely just murder them, clear them out straight away. And there you go. That is actually really nice. Look at that. That is a bit of a rarity nowadays that we actually do get the opportunity to finish off the entire garrison instead of them, you know, sticking around for some reason. But there you go. We were able to do it. Very, very nice indeed. And yeah, we're basically just going to move on. This is just a castle, of course, so we're not really going to be doing too much with it. Okay, so let's take all of the armor here. And let's take a look, actually. Let's take a look at the map, because I took a look at it just before I started recording. And I just want to kind of show you what's going on here, because I think, yes, ISENGARD is still alive. So in other words... Helm's Deep has gotten taken. Okay, that's only 200 people. That is really not that bad. Theodore told... okay, wait, no, that's Dunland. Okay, so where's ISENGARD? Where is a fief of theirs? Because as far as I'm aware, they should technically be eliminated right now. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they've taken something in the meantime. And if that's the case... I'd like to know what. As you can see, look at this. Look at what has been happening here. Gondor has been absolutely insane. They have taken back Minas Tirith first, West Osgiliath second, and then East as well, which is absolutely amazing. I'm actually extremely astonished. I never would have expected that. There's the Black Gate. The Black Gate is apparently Gondor's as well. That's very funny. I'm not entirely sure how that changed hands, because it was ours, and apparently it's now changed over to them. But yeah, you can see here, I don't see any ISENGARD fiefs, so I'm kind of a little bit weirded out. Funnily enough, as you can see right here, the Gundabad is still actually under control by an enemy, which is very amusing. Not entirely sure what's going on there, but yeah. Otherwise, yeah, you can see here that obviously Rune is completely and utterly taken. The question is, where is ISENGARD? Do they have any fiefs in Mordor territory, maybe? Maybe they have some fiefs in Mordor territory to kind of keep them alive or something like that? No, it doesn't look as though that is the case. As you can see, every single thing... Oh, wow, look at this. Gondor is actually... I don't even know how they're doing that, but yeah, Gondor is actually going in there and apparently capturing some stuff. It could... I'm not sure if it's going to be like that, but it could be that there are some defectors from Mordor, and they're actually, you know, joining Gondor and bringing their fiefs with them. But I highly doubt that, right? I don't think that's possible. Or maybe it is in this version. I don't know. But yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to just take a quick look, because you can see here, they have one castle. What is the castle? What is the castle? It doesn't tell me. Am I stupid? I might be. So I'm going to take a quick look and scan the map a little bit here, and I'm going to try to find which castle they've taken. Alright, so before we go in, we're actually just going to spec our polearm skill a little bit here. So we have Phalanx. I think we're probably going to be taking that. Plus 30 melee weapon skills to troops in your party while in shield wall formation. That could be extremely powerful. So I think we're probably going to be doing that. And I mean, 30, if you think about it, 30, if we use that with all of our elves, and they already have, you know, I don't know, what, 450, 500 or something like that, they're going to have even more, and it's going to be absolutely insane. Now, we do have Hardy front line here as well, which is indeed what I'm going to take, because 5 hit points to troops in our party, how can we say no to that? We're also getting minus 20% recruitment cost of infantry, which is exceptionally good, actually, considering we have such expensive troops. Just bear that in mind, of course. Anyway, we're down here at Eel's Watch. I'm literally just taking this because I don't really like Dunland being so annoying in this area. So we're just going to kind of deal with them a little bit. And we're just going to take this very, very fast. I'm just giving you an update on the fact that I am indeed taking it. And I have found the last remaining ISENGARD fief, which just so happens to be one of the outposts next to Dol Guldur. So we are obviously going to be going over there in just a moment and hopefully eliminating ISENGARD from contention. And we're fighting tooth and nail inside the keep here, or shall we say alongside the walls, and we've got some pretty crazy little skirmishes going on here as well. And it's actually quite funny because for some reason most of my forces ran off into some weird direction. Not entirely sure why they did that, but yeah, funnily enough, we are indeed, of course, fighting Dunland, well, Dunlending's men, and for me personally, I actually find it quite fun to fight men again, because obviously we've had a number of, well, a number of Uruk-only factions, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's actually very, very fun to fight against them, but it is a nice change. A little bit of a refreshing, you know, a refreshing, nice little, shall we say, what is it now? Palate cleanser. A little bit of a palate cleanser before we inevitably go after Mordor itself. Now, obviously, I'm not entirely sure what we should really consider a victory condition here, you know, in this particular situation, because we have technically already conquered Mount Doom, if you remember, and we also have technically defeated Sauron once. So I'm not sure what we can really consider a victory condition in that case, because obviously in this case we've already technically, not yet, but almost eliminated Isengard, which is an exceptional feat considering the fact that Orthanc itself is so incredibly strong. I'm actually kind of surprised that the Uruks were not running around with larger armies, considering they had, you know, 800 leadership and stuff like that. You know, it makes a huge difference for them to field such large armies. You know, they literally would have, what, 500 extra spaces or something like that, something crazy. Anyway, we've got 5 people that are currently waiting. I'm not entirely sure. Oh, they're up here. Oh, okay, well, I guess our forces will get to them eventually. Now, and then we'll actually head on to the outpost. Alright, so we've arrived at the outpost, and it's time for us to go in and eliminate Isengard once and for all. Obviously, I have destroyed the walls, I think. Didn't I? Didn't I destroy the walls? I think so. I think so. Anyway, obviously, because the walls are destroyed, yes, they are. I checked, yes, I checked just now with my eyes, I know. And we're going to see, ooh, yeah, this is going to be kind of harsh. I am trying to level up my polearm skill a little bit here, because I obviously realized, hey, you know what? We kind of have 5 focus points in this thing. Might as well, you know? Might as well. Because it is going to get us some pretty hefty bonuses. Like, for example, that thing that we just got just now that provides 5 additional HP to our troops. That is going to be exceptionally powerful alongside our medicine skill once that gets to 275. Obviously, it is going to take a little bit of time for that to get there. But, well, you know how it is. You know how it is. Okay, so otherwise, I'm just going to continue trying to murder these guys here. After this, as I said before, we're going to try to figure out a nice victory condition, because I think to myself right now that generally, I think we've proven ourselves. I think we've proven that we can, you know, hang with the best of them, as it were. And I feel like we can probably do mostly what we like. I'm not sure if there are going to be any people in the world that can actually stop us. I'm not entirely sure if that's the case. I mean, obviously right now our strength is dwindling a little bit because we are on a bit of a well, a bit of a sieging spree at this point, and that can have a dramatic impact on your overall army strength, because I don't know whether you've noticed or whether you've been keeping up with the fact that my friend here, Mr. Leoric, he has been, well, dwindling a little bit. You know, his forces have been dwindling quite dramatically, and I'm quite surprised, actually. I have to admit, the lack of recruiting. I don't actually know what he's doing with that, because as far as I'm aware, I did actually stop by a couple of villages and a town just so that he could potentially recruit some troops, so that he could get some people back and, you know, try to resupply his army with some troops. And he did not do that for some reason. I actually have no idea why, but he was not recruiting from any of those places. So I'm going to assume that he needs to be out of the army to do that, which is funny because I actually thought that they could recruit while in an army, but apparently that is not the case. Shall we say, maybe the parties don't have the ability to do that. It might be the party having a problem with that, or it might just be something else, I don't know. But I know that vassals do tend to, as far as I remember at least, they do tend to recruit while they're in an army. So, bit weird, you know, bit weird with that, because now I'm going to have to disband the army, and then I'm going to have to wait for him to get some troops back, and it's going to be somewhat problematic. This is also somewhat problematic, funnily enough. I mean, the funny thing is, I am running around with some exceptional armor, and as you can see, no doubt, we are taking extremely little amounts of damage, just purely because that armor is amazing. And, I mean, it obviously cost us an actual, well, almost an arm and a leg, basically, and it is exceptional. It is. And this is the kind of thing I'm talking about whenever I say, yeah, this is the kind of reward that you really want, you know, because in many situations, it's actually quite funny, in many situations, a lot of games / mods do tend to make a bit of a mistake, in my opinion at least. And I'm not talking about this one, because as I'm saying right now, you know, look at the gear that we're wearing. This is gear that you should deserve at a certain point in your playthrough. You should deserve to wear amazing armor and feel like you are very strong, because you are, you know, you are strong. You are basically one of the legendary heroes of the age, and, you know, you're doing a great job fighting against Nazgul, or fighting against elves, or fighting against whoever you want. And from my perspective, I feel like there are a lot of times where, you know, people do make mistakes with their balancing, and they decide that they're going to respect the overall, shall we say, challenge way too much, you know? And what they're going to do is they're going to remove those fun things, you know? Like, for example, like, look at what I'm wearing right now. I'm obviously wearing Thranduil's armor, right? And most of the time, you're not actually going to get this, right? Like, I haven't cheated for this, by the way. This is all available in the marketplace. This is not a cheat menu acquisition. And that's the great thing. In my opinion, I feel like this is absolutely fantastic. This is great, great design, because what this is doing is this is fundamentally making the player, i.e. me in this situation, I'm thinking to myself, I love the fact that I see this in the marketplace and I go, wow, I really want that. And it gives me a goal, you know? It gives me a goal. It gives me something to aim for, instead of me just going, oh yeah, this armor right here, it's just absolutely terrible. You know, the armor that I would be wearing if I didn't buy this. And, you know, then we'd be having huge issues actually staying alive, and it would be kind of annoying, you know, and it would suck a lot of the entertainment, a lot of the fun, a lot of the satisfaction out of the playing experience if we didn't have access to these amazingly cool things. It's the same thing actually with my weapon as well. I know, it is extremely powerful. Yes, okay, it has 188 cutting damage, but if you take a look at the glaive that we were using, it does 124 cutting damage, and it is just as effective. Obviously not as effective, but it is almost, you know, we can kill a lot of enemies, right? We are killing a lot of enemies with both weapons, and I think that it's just nice. It's just nice when a mod / game isn't afraid to give you access to these kinds of things, you know, because there are many times where they just go, yeah, no, we care about the challenge and the artificial difficulty so much more, and it's just not as enjoyable, unfortunately, you know. And that's fine, you know, that's fine, because some people are going to enjoy that. Some people are going to enjoy the artificial difficulty and the periods of basically being like, oh yeah, I can't really do anything here, you know, I'm up against this extremely powerful opponent, and I have no ability to fight them, and I'm gonna have to go away and grind for 200 days on looters or whatever, and you know, that's just not my thing, right? That's just not my thing. That's just not what I personally find enjoyable. Sometimes, sure, okay, fine, that can be quite fun, but not all the time. And I think that that is something, you know, that this mod does get right, because it feels to me like I don't really have to grind that much. At least it felt like that. It felt like I could, you know, pretty easily enter into fighting against relatively high level. I mean, not really high level, to be honest. I mean, we were facing some pretty lowish tier people initially when we were fighting with, you know, with Thranduil around Mount Gundabad, right? And then, obviously, after that, we decided that we were going to go it alone and go over to Rune, and we were fighting there. So, you know, we did, in fact, scale quite fast, but I didn't personally feel like I was at a loss. I felt like, yeah, I can do this, you know, I can do this. We can actually go here and actually have fun. Fighting against vassals and seeing, you know, seeing what kind of units they have, seeing what kind of tactics they use, and it was, I don't know. You've seen the series, you know what happened, but I'm just trying to, you know, illustrate why it's really, really nice when a mod or a game or anything like that has a sense of fun over a sense of restricting the player in significant ways. And I'm not even talking about, you know, changing the weapon or whatever, because as far as I'm aware, that I think the weapon I'm using right now has already been nerfed a little bit, which that's fine, you know, that's really not that big a deal. But from what I have heard in the lore, apparently this weapon was used by some extremely legendary elvish hero, and apparently it's like, you know, this guy is like, you know, godlike, basically, really, really strong. And it makes sense that his weapon would be that way, right? Don't you think? I think it makes sense that it would be like that. But yeah, anyway, yeah, as you can see, Gondor is literally besieging Minas Morgul right now, and I am not going to stop them. I'm going to just let them do their thing. And yeah, Mordor is pretty much done. I'm actually not entirely sure how they can come back from this. I'm not entirely sure how they're even fumbling the victory. They had a sure victory, to be honest. I personally feel like their victory was just within their grasp. It was extremely close, but for some reason they fumbled it. They fumbled it really pretty badly, and I am very surprised, because I would have 100% assumed from that first initial assault. I mean, you know what happened with that, right? At the very beginning of the series, we were seeing Gondor have insane amounts of casualties and losing territory, and it was amazing to witness, because everything was falling. It was just going, you know, bang, 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 immediately. And you think to yourself, wow, how is Gondor gonna do this? And for me personally, I haven't done anything, right? I haven't done anything at all to, I mean, have I done stuff? I mean, I guess I have done stuff, but I've done stuff more in the background. I haven't actually assisted Gondor directly. I have only done damage to the factions surrounding Gondor. For example, Isengard, Dol Guldur, and to a lesser extent, obviously, the Dunlendings. But, you know, that's the point. We have indeed been kind of, you know, I'm not sure if I can say instrumental in Gondor's comeback, because I'm not entirely sure what would have happened otherwise. I guess maybe someone out there has played, you know, played like I don't know, a different faction or something like that. Maybe playing as Gondor itself, and maybe you can provide a little bit of insight as to what would have actually happened if Mordor and Isengard and Dol Guldur were all working together, in comparison to some of them being completely dismantled. So yeah, it would be kind of interesting to know. And that's also one of those things that I personally really enjoy about, you know, those games that where you can basically just let the game run, and you let your, you know, you just see the factions, nations, what, you know, whatever, being played by the CPU, and you just kind of go, okay, what's going to happen? Who's going to win? And it kind of feels like that. It feels like maybe we should try that out sometime, where we just kind of, maybe we start in Harad territory or something like that, and we kind of just allow our, allow everyone to do their own thing and just kind of bide our time and make ourselves very strong in the meantime. Obviously, we're going to be very far away from pretty much any action, so the only thing that we could potentially do there is fight bandits. But the question is, are the bandit populations down there actually good? Do they have enough bandits down there for us to do that? I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you. But one can hope, you know, one can hope that it is actually that case. But yeah, anyway, Ugluk has, oh, look at that, Ugluk has escaped. He's escaped from captivity from Orthanc itself. Yeah, well, there you go, that's absolutely fine. We're obviously going to starve out the garrison real quick, and then we'll be going in to this particular fief as well. Alright, so we're gonna go in, and obviously we've destroyed the walls. Let's actually take a little bit of a different tact here. We're gonna make our people go over in this direction instead of the obligatory default one that they normally tend to take. And we're just gonna tell them to go over here. I'm gonna put them into a... actually, no, not a shield wall, even though it would increase their weapon skills. I'm basically just gonna put them into a square right here. Because these fellows, along the side of the walls, they're actually going to run there. It's kind of a bit strange. I should probably level up my bow skill too. Do you think I can actually do that? Nice. Nice headshot. Wow, I'm actually kind of surprised I'm getting any headshots right here. Oh, very nice. Okay, so their shields are apparently not very... Oh. Oh, what a classic. What a classic. Yep, me running in and basically being like, yes, I will immediately murder every single one of my own troops by shooting them in the back. Yep, that does seem like something I do, but yeah. Anyway, as you can see right here, I am actually murdering enemies with the polearm too. Obviously the polearm is just a little bit too long, just a small amount too long, so it's not as comfortable to use, but it is still effective. As you can see right here, look at the big damage that we're coming through right now. Let's actually just tell our forces to charge in here. Shouldn't have too many issues. And well, we've already absolutely penetrated their defenses, and now the question remains: are we going to continue running this way, or are my forces going to run out? Are they really? No way, no way. I am not going to allow them to do that. That is absolutely unacceptable. Did you see what they were about to do? That is hilarious. They literally were about to run outside and go from the other direction, which, no offense, that is not going to happen. I am not going to let them do something so silly. Okay, there we go. We'll just do this. There we go. Yeah, now we're just going to tell them to charge from here. This should be pretty decent. As you can see, look at this. Look at the polearm. And this is a polearm, by the way. This is a polearm that we begin the game with. So, you know, me being in possession of the wonderful, wonderful two-handed sword that we have, in my opinion, I think that's fine. You know, for me personally, I think that's fine, because we did end up leveling, well, technically leveling our smithing skill, kind of. But if you think about smithing skill as a whole, and you think about the fact that it is extremely difficult to level up smithing skill, or at the very least, it just takes a lot of time. It's not really difficult, it just takes a lot of time. But yeah, the point is that time should be rewarded, in my opinion. So having a weapon, or should we say being able to smith a weapon you know, of this quality, I think that's pretty good. I think that's fine. You know, that's a nice little reward for people that actually put in the effort, you know. Obviously not me, because I didn't really put in much effort at all, but, you know, I'm just saying, people that put in the effort, yeah, I think it's nice. I think it's nice. Anyway, let's just see if I can level up my polearm, maybe get it to 250 here. Might be lucky enough to do that. Highly unlikely, but we'll try. I mean, obviously, because I am used to the other sword, and I am used to having a completely maxed out skill tree. It is making things a little bit more difficult than you might expect, because obviously most of the time I'm maxed out and doing so much damage. Okay, so funnily enough, look at this. There's no invisible wall here, right? Yeah, there's no invisible wall here, but there is one here. You see that? That's... Look at this. There's an invisible wall here. That is so strange. And this is a base game castle, by the way. This is a base game castle. So I find it very, very weird that there's an invisible wall here and here, right? But there is not one here. So I can literally just jump off here, straight up. Isn't that weird? I think that's really strange. I'm not entirely sure why some invisible walls are places that they would, you know, be, and why some of them are not. Like, for example, whoa, okay. Oh, that gave me that falling feeling. You know what I mean? You know when you get that, like, that feeling in the pit of your stomach when you're actually, you know, falling, or you feel like you're falling in a game, or, you know, generally, obviously, if you're doing it in real life, then, you know, good for you. But in general, yeah, when you're doing it in a game, that falling pit feeling, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's see. I'm gonna obviously retreat. No real point in staying in there, thanks very much, because there's no enemies to fight, and we can just do this. There we go. Nice and easy victory right there. And I'm actually kind of wondering, it is Minas Morgul. Does that have a custom scene? Because if it has a custom scene, I'm actually going to be missing out on it if... oh, yeah, there you go. As you can see, Gondor literally already took it. I gotta say, I'm actually really, really impressed by the Gondorians. I was actually thinking that they would be completely and utterly useless after they just kind of, I don't know, ran away. They completely lost huge amounts of territory. And I thought that they would never be able to recover, but they did. And look at them now. Look at what they're able to do. It's actually insane. Look at this. Look at what they were able to do. They did this completely without me, by the way. Obviously, I was, you know, having some impact in certain areas. Like, for example, you know, Rohan, and obviously, you know, everything to do with Isengard, and, of course, Rune and Dol Guldur itself. But I'm not sure whether that really made that much of a difference in Gondor's success. I assume it did in regards to Isengard itself, because Isengard was having to defend against us, Dol Guldur was having to defend against us, and in comparison, well, now they don't have any allies. Mordor does not have any allies, so they are going to have some pretty big issues, and Gondor apparently has huge amounts of vassals? I don't know. It's a bit strange because obviously, if you think about it, Mordor also has Harad, and they have... do they have Khand as well, actually? They might have Khand as well. I'm not entirely sure where they would be, but yeah. I mean, obviously here is Harad, right? Yep. Okay. And where's Khand, by the way? Because I remember there be... Ah, here. Is that them? No, that's Umbar. Oh, well, wait. Where's Khand? Have they already been eliminated? I feel like Khand is over here. No, that's Easter. Technically, the Easterlings culture. It might be that this is where Khand was, and they've been eliminated relatively quickly. I think that might have been the case, because you see here we've just got Umbar, and we've got Harad down there. Harad is actually... I'm actually kind of surprised that Harad has such a huge territory, which just goes to show that they are actually kind of dangerous. You can see here, look at them. They have insane amounts of strength. They have 12,600. Obviously, we are running around with 12,400, but we have a fraction of the amount of vassals on the hand here. Obviously, Mordor, as you see here, 13,700. And Dunland 13,000 as well. No, look, Khand is actually still a thing. Oh, I see. Never mind. Khand is actually here. Yes, there they are. They have a very, very slightly different shade of red. I'm not very good at detecting that, so there you go. That's what's going on there. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to go into the Lord's Hall. I want to see if there's a custom map. I don't know whether there is. There isn't a custom throne room, but I don't really care about that too much, because how many times are you actually going to go into the throne room, right? So we're going to go into walk around the town center, I guess. Maybe we'll see a custom scene there. The funny thing is, there might be a custom scene in the siege, but not in the actual, like, you know, civilian area. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show you that because, well, if there is actually one, because I obviously don't know, but yeah, as it stands, obviously, Gondor went ahead and took that very, very easily. So yeah, I wasn't even there. So it's actually kind of crazy. Anyway, that is going to be it for this episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.